Invincible, Cecil Stedman is often seen as a morally gray figure, an authoritative leader willing to make the difficult choices necessary for the survival of Earth. The head of the Global Defense Agency, Cecil operates under the philosophy that pragmatism trumps sentimentality, and as Invincible Season 3 continues, it is clear that his role as a foil to Mark Grayson will become even more pronounced. Cecil is an easy character to villainize. He spies on heroes, experiments on the dead, and manipulate events behind the scenes in ways that make even the most morally flexible characters uneasy. However, his actions should not be viewed through a simplistic lens of good versus evil. Instead, they must be examined through the scope of necessity. When facing existential threats like the Viltrumites, the traditional morality of superheroes built on compassion, justice, and trust simply does not apply. Cecil understands this better than anyone else. Unlike other figures in fiction who hold similar positions of power, such as Nick Fury and Amanda Waller, Cecil stands out as the most competent, the most effective, and arguably the most morally justified.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
Nick Fury, especially his MCU portrayal, is often viewed as a competent leader, but his failures outweighs his successes. As the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., how the hell are you unaware that Hydra had infiltrated your organization at every level? Hell Hydra. I'm sorry, that accent was terrible. This oversight led to widespread chaos, a catastrophic failure that called his leadership into question. Furthermore, Fury has consistently failed to make the truly hard choices. In the Marvels, he essentially serves as a glorified babysitter rather than a commander. His inability to fully inform his allies about the threats they face diminishes his effectiveness. Even in the Avengers, Fury was not the one making the ultimate decisions regarding the survival of New York. Rather, he was overruled by the World Security Council, further highlighting his lack of control. A true leader in Cecil's position would never allow themselves to be so blind or powerless. Not to mention the fact that Nick Fury was also the liaison for a shape-shifting alien race, and they were able to illegally immigrate over 1 million of their people and infiltrate some of the most important world leaders.
And what about it? And what about it?
Do you know you have 30 minutes?
Are you kidding me?
30, yes.
Amanda Waller, this bitch, represents an extreme in the opposite direction. Unlike Cecil, she is ambiguously a villain. Across various interpretations in comics, television, and film, Waller operates with unchecked authority and personal bias, often using power not as a means to protect humanity, but to further her own sense of control. She illegally detains individuals, forces them into inhumane conditions, and manipulates those who work under her with threats to their lives. Her means are cruel, and her ends often do not justify them. Unlike Cecil, Waller lacks a true sense of moral responsibility for the world's greater good. Her tactics are selfishly driven, making her an outright antagonist rather than a pragmatic protector. We all know damn well Amanda would have put a whole ass bomb in Mark's head and not a ringtone. Now, this brings me back to Cecil.
He turned people into monsters.
You don't waste people like that, you reform them. You killed Angstrom Levy. Should I lock you up too?
In contrast, does what he does solely for the survival of Earth. His willingness to infringe upon personal privacy, experiment on dead bodies, and manipulate heroes does not stem from a place of power hunger or personal agenda. It comes from an understanding of the stakes at hand. When Omni-Man, a single Viltrumite, effortlessly slaughtered the Guardians of the Globe in mere minutes and later decimated a city, Cecil knew that Earth was woefully unprepared for the reality of Viltrumite dominance.
You know what I mean? But, you know, I packed that thing too, so you come around this way, you will get caught.
From that point on, every action Cecil took was an attempt to level the playing field in some way. A key reason audiences will villainize Cecil is because his actions put Mark Grayson in danger. Mark is the emotional core of Invincible, and his struggles with morality, responsibility, and power make him a relatable hero. However, while Mark is powerful, he is inexperienced. His decisions, often driven by emotions and his faith in others, while admirable, is a liability in the long run. Cecil understands that the Viltrumites do not operate on a human moral code. They are a race of conquerors who believe in the subjugation of weaker species, and the only way to resist them is through calculated strategy. not idealism. This is why Cecil keeps secrets, creates backup plans, contingency plans, and pursues morally questionable scientific advancements. His approach is cold and calculating, but it is effective. Unlike Fury, who fails to see threats like Hydra, and unlike Waller, who prioritizes control over true protection, Cecil plays the long game with humanity's survival as his only goal. The most critical argument in favor of Cecil is that unlike Mark, he does not have the luxury of failure. When Mark makes a mistake, people die, but he can learn and improve over time. If Cecil makes a mistake, the Earth could be conquered or destroyed. He does not have time for trial and error, only preparation and execution. This man is not afraid to make enemies because he understands that his work is bigger than public perception. As season 3 continues, Invincible is positioning Cecil as Mark's greatest ideologically opponent. Mark wants to believe in that everything he does, every action he takes is right. Cecil, however, has long since abandoned that hope in favor of what is necessary. This is where the conflict arises. Mark, still young and idealistic, sees Cecil's methods as extreme and dangerous. But as the show progresses, it would become increasingly clear that Earth cannot afford to fight on Mark's terms. Mark wants to protect his loved ones, but Cecil wants to protect the entire planet. While Mark is willing to sacrifice himself for others, Cecil knows that sacrificing one hero or one city or one moral principle may sometimes be necessary for the survival of billions. The Viltrumites do not fight fair, and Cecil recognizes that neither can he. His character will likely be put under heavier scrutiny as the show moves forward, especially by audiences who see him as an antagonist. But the truth is, Cecil is not a villain. He's the only one making sure humanity still has a fighting chance. Cecil Stedman's role in Invincible is thankless. He makes the hard choices so that others do not have to. He is neither a hero nor a villain, but rather a necessary force in a world that is brutally unfair. Unlike Nick Fury, he does not overlook threats, and unlike Amanda Waller, his methods serve a purpose greater than himself. His willingness to be hated, distrusted, and questioned is what makes him the most effective leader in a world on the brink of annihilation. As season 3 unfolds, it will be easy for audiences to villainize Cecil, especially as his decisions put Mark and those close to him in harm's way. But those same audiences should ask themselves, if they were in Cecil's position, if they had to stand against an unstoppable force but only limited resources, would they do anything differently? The answer is likely no, and this is why Cecil Stedman is not the villain of Invincible. He is his last best hope. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you always stay updated. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!